Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and you realize, something fundamental has just shifted.
Oh boy,
Yeah. So you check your phone and your bank account no longer exists.
it's completely gone.
Gone. You check your email and your boss, your entire company, they're gone too. You look out the window and your local government, the laws you abide by, even the very concept of your own marriage, I mean, all of it just vanished.
It is the ultimate thought experiment made literal.
Right. And the most unsettling part, this isn't the chaotic aftermath of some, apocalyptic disaster. This is a deliberate, meticulously engineered reality.
Exactly. We're talking about the complete intentional dismantling of every single structure that we consider the absolute baseline for human existence.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are pulling you into a profoundly radical social blueprint. Our source material is a translated text from August 6, 2009, authored by someone named Xue Feng. And the title alone, it gives you a pretty stark warning of what we are stepping into. It's called An Introduction to the New Life of Human Beings - Home Without Marriage and Family.
It really doesn't bury the lead.
It does not. What it does is lay out the operational rules for a utopian community called Lifechanyuan.
And, our mission today isn't to judge this text or to endorse the community it describes.
No, definitely not.
The goal is just to impartially explore how this document proposes to completely rewire the human animal. Because whether you find these ideas deeply inspiring or, honestly, completely terrifying, the sheer scale of the social engineering being proposed here, well, it forces you to examine your own life.
It really does.
It challenges almost every hidden assumption we have about how people can or even should live together on this planet.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the ambition we are looking at here is just staggering. We aren't looking at plans for some quirky weekend commune in the woods.
Oh, no.
This text proposes an entirely new era for the human race.
It really does. The document is totally explicit about its endgame. It envisions something called the Lifechanyuan era, which it describes as this massive 1,000-year epoch.
1,000 years.
1,000 years. And the author claims that only by implementing this very specific lifestyle globally can we lessen human afflictions and curb deterioration of the natural environment.
But the price of entry into this harmonious state is steep. It's the absolute elimination of traditional human institutions.
All of them.
Literally all of them. No countries, no religions, no political parties, and crucially, as the title advertises, no marriage and no nuclear family.
Right.
It promises a society where doors don't even need to be shut at night, and no one would ever dream of pocketing something they found on the road.
What's fascinating here, though, is how the text pivots from this sweeping, almost poetic vision of global harmony directly into this obsession with rigid, almost mathematical logistics.
Yeah, the logistics are wild.
It doesn't just say, let's all live together in peace. It mandates exactly one global institute.
Right.
And that institute is led by a president who functions as a sort of global leader. And then there are precisely 256 branches worldwide.
I found that number so jarring when reading this. Not 250, not 300, exactly 256.
Very specific.
It feels like the author views human society as a computer program. 256 is a power of 2. It's the number of values you can represent in an 8-bit byte.
Well, that's a really good point.
It's as if they are trying to wipe the messy, organic, unpredictable operating system of human history and just install a perfectly symmetrical, completely alien software in its place.
Yes.
And every single one of these 256 branches is managed by a local president who oversees exactly 3 departments, the living, education, and production departments.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of utopias, they almost always harbor this exact tension. Well, they claim to want total human freedom, right? But they try to achieve that freedom through absolute rigid control over the environment. They want to replace the chaotic sprawl of human civilization with a perfectly engineered machine.
But a beautifully engineered grid of 256 branches is really just architecture. It doesn't tell us how the actual people inside function on a daily basis.
Exactly.
Which brings up a massive question for you listening to this right now. How does a society hold itself together if you completely remove the foundational building block of the nuclear family? Like, who is making sure the vulnerable are cared for?
That is the pivotal challenge of this text, because when you strip away the nuclear family, you are forced to completely redefine the concepts of family and care.
Right, because you can't just leave people hanging.
No, you can't. And this text addresses that by entirely restructuring the human social fabric.
The new rules of relationship are incredibly specific here. Blood ties, biological ties, they are still acknowledged. They don't pretend that fathers and sons or mothers and daughters just don't exist.
Right, it's not complete erasure of biology.
Exactly. But outside of that direct biological link, everyone is essentially rebranded. All men are brothers. All women are sisters.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the text declares an end to all social hierarchies. There are no superiors or inferiors, no managers and laborers, no hosts and guests. Everyone is simply an equal owner of the community.
Which, if you think about it, forces a massive shift in how the community handles vulnerability and burden.
In what way?
Well, in the traditional world you and I live in, if your parents grow old and sick, or if you have a child, their care is your private individual responsibility. It falls on you.
Right, financially and emotionally.
Exactly. But Lifechanyuan collectivizes that burden entirely. The home, meaning the community itself, takes full responsibility. The text states explicitly that supporting seniors and nurturing children are no longer personal matters for parents or offspring to worry about.
That honestly sounds like an enormous administrative nightmare.
It really does.
I mean, to manage a system where the community is responsible for raising every single child and caring for every aging senior, you would expect a colossal bureaucracy.
Mountains of paperwork.
Exactly. You'd need massive legal codes, hundreds of administrators, social workers, all of it. But the text proposes the exact opposite. They introduce something they call the holographic management mode.
And that phrase, holographic management, is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this document.
Tell me about it.
To understand it, you have to think of an actual physical hologram. If you take a holographic photograph of, say, an apple, and you cut that photographic plate in half, you don't get two halves of an apple.
Wait, you don't?
No, you don't. Each piece of the film still projects the entire whole apple. The
Ew.
part literally contains the whole.
Okay, wow. That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
Yeah, so in this society, the text declares there are no constitutions, no legislations, no institutions, and absolutely no commandments.
Just nothing.
Nothing. Instead, everything is governed by a singular doctrine called the 800 Life Values for New Era Human. And under this holographic model, the management isn't top down from a boss.
Right.
Every single individual is expected to fully embody and project the entirety of those 800 life values themselves. The management is basically baked into the people by stimulating inherent human goodness, truth, kindness, beauty, and love.
I have to challenge this premise entirely, though.
Go for it.
Because the text literally states, and I quote, "No management is the best management."
Yeah, that's their law.
Relying on inherent goodness to get the toilet scrubbed or the roof repaired in the middle of winter just seems incredibly naive to me.
Is a huge leap of faith.
I mean, if someone simply decides they don't feel like working today, inherent goodness isn't going to fix the plumbing. Without a boss or a manager to fire them, how does this text actually handle human laziness?
That's the million-dollar question. And it raises a really important point about what actually drives human behavior. Traditional society builds laws and management structures on the assumption that humans are inherently selfish, right? That we are driven by scarcity.
It's exactly. We work because we have to survive.
Right. But Zui Feng's text proposes a completely different theory of motivation. It argues that if you remove the scarcity, like if you provide for every single basic need and totally remove the anxiety of survival, you actually remove the trigger for selfish behavior.
So people will just want to work.
According to this blueprint, yes.
Yeah.
You don't need a manager to threaten someone with starvation to make them work. You just need that shared ideology.
Well, that theory is put to the ultimate test when you look at their actual daily work schedule. Because, utopia or not, someone still has to do the grueling labor.
Oh, absolutely.
And the text solves this with hyper-specialized work. Here is how your day functions in Lifechanyuan. You choose exactly one job.
Just one.
Just one. And you pick it based on your hobbies or your personality. If you choose to be the cook, you only cook. The washer only washes. You work exactly 6 hours a day, and there are absolutely no forced arrangements.
And the temporal flexibility here is staggering. You set your own timetable entirely.
Completely up to you.
If you are a night owl and you want to sleep all day and then do your 6 hours of laundry at 3 a.m., you are perfectly free to do so. The only metric that matters is that your specialized task is completed.
But I don't know, doing exactly one task forever sounds psychologically exhausting to me. And there is this massive social rule attached to this hyper-specialization.
Which one?
The text commands members to basically mind your own business. You carry out your specific duty, and you absolutely do not interfere with anyone else.
Oh, right.
If someone is struggling with their task, you only help them if they explicitly ask you for it. Otherwise, you stay completely out of their personal matters.
It's an attempt to engineer an environment that is completely free of interpersonal friction. If you think about the standard workplace today, most of the stress doesn't actually come from the work itself, does it?
No, it's usually the people.
Exactly. It comes from office politics, the gossip, micromanagement, competing with your peers.
Huh?
By legally mandating that everyone minds their own business, they're essentially trying to outlaw social friction.
It makes it feel less like a community and more like a biological cell. The mind your own business rule acts like a cell wall.
That's a good analogy.
Right. It allows specialized organelles, like the cook, the washer, to function perfectly in their own isolated bubbles. And that cell wall prevents the viruses of human nature, like jealousy or nosiness, from infecting the system.
And they completely eliminate the biggest virus of all, which is money.
Yes, the money aspect is wild.
The financial model is summarized in the text as having nothing but having all. There is zero personal property. You do not own the clothes on your back, the bed you sleep in, or the computer you use.
Nothing is yours.
Every single asset belongs collectively to the Chanyuan Celestials.
But in exchange for surrendering all ownership, the home covers every conceivable expense. Food, clothing, housing, medical care, even your funeral arrangements.
Everything from birth to death.
Yeah, and the wildest part is the total lack of oversight. There is no supervision mechanism on spending and no strict accounting system. The text explicitly says the time one needed, he or she can spend. You simply take what you require.
It is a completely closed-loop internal economy based entirely on mutual service.
Kind of like living at an all-inclusive hotel where your wallet stays in the safe the whole time.
Yeah, but the catch is you and the other guests are also the staff keeping the resort running.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. No matter how perfect that internal loop is, a utopian bubble still physically exists on planet Earth. It has to navigate the external, non-utopian world surrounding it.
Which leads to a genuinely surprising element of this blueprint. Because when you think of a group rejecting private property, rejecting marriage, and rejecting government, you usually picture some heavily armed, lawless compound defying the state.
A very specific kind of image comes to mind, yeah.
But this text outlines the exact opposite strategy.
It demands absolute compliance with the outside world. The document insists that all financial and operational activities must strictly obey the laws and decrees of national and local governments.
They don't want any trouble.
Their stated goal is to not cause a single bit of trouble to the authorities.
And they are incredibly economically fortified. The text emphasizes that they refuse all outside donations or sponsorships. They will not accept a single penny from non-members, from outside organizations, or even charities.
Nothing from the outside.
Right. They rely 100% on the 6 hours of daily labor from their own members.
And from a sociological standpoint, refusing outside money is actually a brilliant survival mechanism for a fringe community.
How so?
If you don't take their money, outsiders cannot buy, leverage, or influence over your operations. You remain completely independent. And by being relentlessly law-abiding, they deny the state any legal pretext to come in and shut them down.
That makes a lot of sense.
But their social interaction with the outside world is where things start getting really complex.
Yes, because they invoke the spirit of Lifeng. And for those who might not know, Lifeng is a massive cultural icon in China. He symbolizes ultimate selfless service to the people.
A total paragon of virtue.
Exactly. And the text instructs that whenever a member leaves the home and interacts with the real world, they must act like Lifeng. They are told to care for seniors, orphans, and the vulnerable out in society. They are commanded to put others first, basically absorbing inconvenience so that outsiders can have convenience.
But we have to look at the tension between that individual charity and their institutional walls.
I know, the contradiction is just glaring. On an individual level, out on the streets, they are mandated to be radically selfless. But as an institution, they are fiercely, almost brutally exclusive.
Very much an us versus them setup.
The text clearly states the home is only for Chanyuan Celestials. They explicitly reject outside applicants. You can't just knock on the door and join this utopia.
They do invite scrutiny, however, which is interesting. The text notes they actively welcome journalists to report truthfully, and they invite government inspectors to audit them at any time.
It's like they're saying, come look at our perfect society, but no, you absolutely cannot live in it. It creates this titanium wall between the inside world, which is governed by the 800 life values, and the outside world.
And that strict boundary is mirrored perfectly in how they handle the most intimate aspects of human life inside the home: personal space, love, and sex.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because when you completely abolish marriage, you have to write an entirely new playbook for romantic and sexual engagement.
You can't just leave a vacuum there.
No, you can't. And the text describes love as a precious gift, and it actually elevates sexual love as this necessary, beautiful path to human elevation. They poetically call it a dance of two hearts with the same tempo.
The practical application of that poetry, though, is absolute sexual freedom. The blueprint dictates that as long as two adults are mutually attracted, they are free to engage with one another however they choose.
Just totally open.
Totally. No one will interfere, no one will supervise, and returning to that mind your own business rule, no one is allowed to gossip about it either.
But that physical freedom comes with some severe emotional regulations. The text outlaws jealousy entirely.
Which is easier said than done.
Right, I mean, human nature. But there is no occupying or possessing a partner allowed. You must fully respect the other person's autonomy, and you are forbidden from mentally or physically forcing anything.
They're basically trying to separate the physical act of free love from all those messy, possessive, destructive emotions that have historically accompanied human romance.
Exactly.
But what's deeply fascinating here is the stark contrast between this libertine, completely boundary-free approach to sex and the incredibly puritanical, hyper-controlled physical environment they live in.
It is absolute emotional freedom housed within a physical fortress of rules. Every member is assigned their own private bedroom, which the text treats as an absolute sanctuary. You cannot just walk in. You must knock and await permission.
And the behavioral standards in the shared spaces are incredibly strict. The environment must be kept absolutely spotless. The document mandates that the home remain quiet 24 hours a day.
Whisper quiet.
Yes. It's broken only by specific collective activities like their weekly music and dance parties. Otherwise, no yelling is permitted, no swearing, no vulgar behavior.
Wow.
You must dress neatly at all times. Gambling is strictly forbidden. Smoking is banned. And the text pointedly notes that alcoholics are not respected.
Not respected. Try to hold those two realities in your mind at the same time listening to this. You have total sexual freedom. You work exactly 6 hours a day, your absolute favorite hobby, and you have zero financial burdens.
That's pretty good so far.
But you cannot raise your voice. You cannot swear when you stub your toe. You cannot smoke. You cannot leave a mess. And you must maintain absolute emotional detachment from the people you sleep with.
It is an incredible paradox.
It really is. You have total freedom, but it is a highly curated, deeply sanitized freedom.
And that paradox brings us to the ultimate enforcement mechanism of the entire text. Because all of this provided care, all of this autonomy and freedom, it exists only under the umbrella of those 800 life values.
Right, the values.
The text states, without any ambiguity whatsoever, that any member who fails to strictly abide by these values will be eliminated from the home.
Eliminated.
No.
Just exiled back into the traditional world. The second you step out of ideological line, you lose your home, your food, your community, your entire reality.
Which really reveals the fragility of this utopian engineering.
How do you mean?
Well, the text operates on this belief that by removing the friction of private property, the stress of the nuclear family, and the burden of micromanagement, humans will naturally just elevate into a harmonious state.
Right.
But it only functions if every single person inside the system perfectly and consistently internalizes the exact same worldview. The hologram breaks the moment one piece of the film projects a different image.
It's a zero-tolerance policy for ideological deviation. And that brings us right back to you, the listener. Could you thrive in this environment?
It's a tough question.
I really want you to seriously consider the trade here. Would you hand over your private property, your bank account, and your exclusive family ties? In exchange, you never have to worry about rent or groceries ever again. You only work 6 hours a day doing a task you genuinely enjoy, and no boss will ever manage your time.
It is the ultimate negotiation. You are trading your material independence and your traditional emotional attachments for total daily security. but you are paying for it with absolute ideological submission to the collective.
It's a fascinating choice to weigh, but it leaves me with one final, honestly, deeply unsettling thought to leave you with today. This blueprint we've been unpacking, it is very clearly designed for adults. It's built to appeal to people who have lived in the traditional world, who have suffered its stresses, and actively choose to adopt these 800 life values.
It requires a conscious, fully informed opting in.
Right. But what happens when a society like this inevitably has children? The text proudly states the home raises them communally, completely removing the burden from the parents.
Which is highly convenient for the adult.
Very convenient. But think about those children when they grow up, having been entirely raised within this spotless, whisper-quiet, hyper-organized bubble, having never once experienced the outside world of money or marriage or traditional family units.
They wouldn't know anything else.
Exactly. So do those children actually possess the freedom to choose this lifestyle? Or, by the very design of this flawless blueprint, are they simply trapped in a utopia they never actually signed up for? Keep questioning the structures around you. We'll see you on the next deep dive.